Rumors, raids, and rising tension. Something big might be brewing behind the scenes. Over the past few months, whispers about alleged contract issues involving HYBE have been quietly gaining traction online. Nothing has been proven, and no accusations are confirmed, but the conversation is definitely getting louder. At the same time, things have taken a serious turn as Bang Si-Hyuk, the company's chairman, is now under investigation for alleged stock fraud. And it's not just talk. On July 23, 2025, authorities actually raided HYBE's offices to dig deeper into claims involving former shareholders. With rumors swirling and real investigations unfolding, fans are left wondering, what's fact, what's speculation, and what's about to come out next? Stay tuned, and don't forget to follow and subscribe, because this story might just be getting started. At this point, it's pretty clear that Bang Si-Hyuk isn't just some behind-the-scenes executive. He's one of the sharpest and most calculated players in the music industry. Honestly, it makes total sense why he moves in the same circles as people like Scooter Braun. Let's be real though, Bang Si-Hyuk is a businessman first. Everything he does is strategic. So, when people talk about how well BTS are treated under HYBE and big hit music, it's not just about kindness or goodwill. It's also about understanding their value. BTS isn't just an artist group, they're a massive global brand, and if they ever walked away, the financial impact would be huge. Back in December 2024, South Korea's financial watchdog officially stepped in and launched a deeper investigation into Bang Si-Hyuk. This time, the focus wasn't just general allegations. It was specifically about possible undisclosed profit-sharing deals tied to HYBE's stock market debut. So, what's the issue here? According to investigators, Bang is suspected of entering into agreements with certain private equity funds before HYBE went public, but without properly disclosing those arrangements. And that is a big deal in the financial world, where transparency is everything. Police are also claiming that, at the time, existing investors and venture capital firms may have been misled into believing that a public listing wasn't on the table. Because of that, some allegedly sold their shares, which then ended up in the hands of a private equity fund said to having connections to Bang. Then came the big moment. HYBE goes public in 2020. The company's value skyrockets, and that same fund reportedly sells its stake for a huge profit. Investigators believe Bang may have received around 30% of those proceeds, which is being estimated at roughly 200 billion won. But, and this is important, both Bang and HYBE have firmly denied any wrongdoing. HYBE has stated that the agreement in question was actually shared with the underwriters during the IPO process, and that they were advised that it didn't require public disclosure. Bang has also consistently maintained that everything he did was within legal boundaries. Even his legal team responded to the arrest warrant request, saying they regret the situation but will continue cooperating fully and explaining their position through proper legal channels. Meanwhile, the market is already reacting. HYBE shares dipped slightly, about 2.3%, even as the overall market, the Kospi index, was up. And, interestingly, other major K-pop companies saw their stocks drop too, showing just how interconnected the industry is when something this big happens. Now, here's where things stand. Even though prosecutors rejected the arrest warrant for now, the police aren't done. They can reapply later if they gather more evidence. There's also a chance Bang could be formally charged without being detained first, although some legal experts believe authorities may prefer custody to prevent any risk of interference with the case. And beyond just the legal side, there's also the bigger picture. Some experts are saying that if these allegations were proven true, it could impact how South Korea is viewed globally in terms of business ethics, especially since Bang is such a central figure in the K-pop industry. But this case also ties into something even larger. South Korea has been stepping up its crackdown on stock manipulation overall. What used to result in relatively mild penalties is now being treated much more seriously. The government has even introduced stricter enforcement terms and a one strike and you're out approach, meaning accounts involved in illegal trading can be immediately frozen, with fines reaching up to double the profits made. And it's not like Bang would be the first high-profile figure caught up in something like this. Big names like Lee Jae-yong of Samsung, Beom-su of Kakao, and even former First Lady Kim Kyon-hee have faced similar stock-related allegations in the past, though they were ultimately cleared. So, where does that leave this case? Honestly, right in the middle. Nothing has been proven yet. No final decisions have been made. But the investigation is clearly serious, and the outcome could go in a very different direction depending on what evidence comes out next. For now, it's a waiting game. But one thing is certain. This isn't just ordinary gossip anymore. This is one of the biggest corporate controversies in K-pop right now, and everyone is watching how it unfolds. According to prosecutors, there just aren't enough solid grounds right now to justify an arrest. Instead, they've called for further investigation, which basically means this whole situation is still very much ongoing. The company is now valued at around $7.3 billion, and investigators believe that Bang made roughly 200 billion won. That's about $136 million in the process. He, however, has firmly denied all accusations, maintaining that everything was done legally and above board. Authorities have reportedly conducted raids at HYBE's headquarters. Some of Bang's assets have been frozen, and there have even been growing calls from different sides for him to step down from his position. On top of that, he's currently under a travel ban, meaning he hasn't been allowed to leave South Korea while the investigation continues. So yeah, it's serious. But here's where the timing gets really interesting. All of this is happening just as BTS, basically HYBE's biggest powerhouse, has kicked off their long-awaited comeback tour after nearly 4 years. And we're not talking about a small comeback either. This tour is massive. Sold-out shows, 34 cities worldwide. Industry insiders are already estimating that HYBE could pull in over $1 billion from this alone. When the tour was first announced earlier this year, the company's stock actually surged, adding more than 1 trillion won to its market value. That's how powerful BTS's impact still is. Even Bang himself recently described BTS as something beyond just a music group, more like a global attraction that people from all over the world recognize and connect with. But here's the reality check. Under South Korean law, if someone is found guilty of making more than 5 billion won in illegal profits, the consequences are no joke. We're talking anywhere from 5 years in prison to potentially life behind bars. So, while no arrest has been made yet, and nothing has been proven in court, the stakes extremely high. One thing's for sure though, the story is far from over. Right now, one question keeps popping up among fans of BTS. And honestly, it's a pretty big one. Could HYBE actually face serious financial trouble? And if so, what happens to the artists under it? The short answer? It's complicated. A lot of it comes down to how things unfold around Bang Si-Hyuk and the ongoing situation. If the pressure continues to build and leadership changes become necessary, one possible scenario people are talking about is him stepping back or stepping down from a top executive role. And if that were to happen, it could act as a kind of reset button for the company. Bringing in new leadership might help stabilize things, reassure investors, and show that HYBE is willing to make adjustments to protect its long-term future. It's actually a pretty common move in high-stakes corporate situations, not necessarily an admission of guilt, but a strategic decision to calm the market and prevent bigger fallout. That said, even a best-case scenario, it probably wouldn't be a smooth ride. There could still be financial losses, shaken investor confidence, and a period of uncertainty while the company regains its footing. And during times like that, artists and employees often feel the ripple effects too, whether it's through delayed projects, tighter budgets, or just the general instability that comes with big corporate shifts. But it's also important to keep things grounded. HYBE isn't a small company hanging by a thread. It's a global powerhouse with multiple artists, partnerships, and revenue streams. So while concerns are understandable, talk of complete bankruptcy is, at least for now, more speculation than reality. In the end, everything depends on how the situation is handled moving forward. Strong leadership decisions, transparency, and smart damage control could make all the difference between a temporary setback and something much bigger. So the big question a lot of fans are quietly wondering is, would any of this actually affect BTS? In terms of reputation, probably not. At the end of the day, BTS are artists. They're signed under Big Hit Music and part of the larger HYBE system. But they're not the ones making executive decisions or running the business side of things. So whatever is happening at the corporate level doesn't really change how the public sees them as musicians and performers. But financially, that's where things get a little more complicated. The members are known to have equity in HYBE, which means if the company takes a hit, whether it's through market instability, investor panic, or legal issues, their personal finances could be affected too. It's not just about salaries or music revenue anymore. It's tied to the company's overall performance. And beyond money, there could be indirect effects as well. Big investigations or internal shakeups can slow things down. Projects, promotions, planning. All of that can get impacted when a company is dealing with uncertainty. Even if the artists themselves aren't involved, they're still operating within that system. Now, there's also a narrative some fans have been pushing for a while. The idea that BTS haven't always been compensated in a way that reflects just how much they've contributed to the company's success. But here's where it's important to separate feeling from fact. There's no publicly confirmed evidence that BTS are being underpaid or exploited financially. In fact, they've had contract renewals, profit-sharing structures, and ownership stakes that suggest a more complex and negotiated relationship than what rumors might imply. That doesn't mean fans are wrong to question or want better for them. That comes from support. But stating it as a certainty crosses into speculation. What is clear, though, is this. BTS helped build HYBE into the powerhouse it is today. Their impact isn't just big, it's global, cultural, and seriously financial. So anytime something shifts at the top, of course, people are going to wonder how it might affect them. But for now, it's less about immediate impact and more about watching how everything plays out around them. The situation's still unfolding, and everyone is keeping a close eye on what happens next. What do you think? Will this affect BTS in the long run? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates and deep dives.